is the largest city in northeast India. The city itself is 83 square miles, larger than nearby Kolkata. It is also home to a population quickly approaching 100,000 citizens. With so many people and such space between modern-day necessities, access to transportation is a must. To keep up with the demand, the city has implemented a public transit system, and the companies such as Uber and Ola have also taken on a huge presence. To ease transport, roads are paved, and traffic police keep traffic flowing, giving city dwellers ready access to any part of the city. This access becomes especially important when it comes to education and medical treatment. For those who live outside the city, however, reality is much different. Without access to roads, villagers have to walk hours down the mountain, through the Garbanga forest, just to reach the outskirts of the city. Access to education and medical treatment seem like an impossibility. The city is now home to a strong public transport system, countless car dealerships, and even an overwhelming 7,000 Uber partners servicing the residents. Because transportation plays such an integral part in our day-to-day lives, being without may come at a grave detriment. Unfortunately for Guwahati, there is an extreme disparity between the access to transportation for urban dwellers and for those who live in the villages just 20 kilometers away. This has major effects on health and education in regards to means of transportation for those who live in the villages, and the gap only continues to widen as the inner city continues to develop. This summer, I had the unique opportunity to travel to India, live in Assam, and evaluate this gap, while working with students from here in the city who utilize public transport, and working with border students whose village families remain isolated from the city and means of transportation. This gave me a unique look into the lives of these people and the impact simple transport has on one's life and how it can shape one's life for the better or not. During this experience, I had the opportunity to visit the villages of the Garbanga forest, take the hike myself of 5 hours through the trees, facing poisonous snakes, and the abrupt reality that if I were to have been bit, I have no access to antivenom. Once there, I was able to interview many villagers on their lives and their feelings on access to transportation and government intervention. Here, we have the mother of one of my students, who resided away from his family in the city to attend school. It seems heartbreaking to imagine young kids in their developmental years having to spend year-round away from their families. But for them, the opportunity to finally receive an education is priceless. While being in a village completely off-grid and untouched by society was a blessed experience, I found many disturbing things in my research. As far as access to medical treatment, there is a pharmacy in the main village that was indeed built by the Assam government. However, there is no pharmacist to run it. When it came time to return to the city, we could not journey down the mountain as one of our volunteers had sustained an injury. The process to find transportation was a 3-day event. Because there is no access to cell reception, they must rely on walking from village to village to inquire on when the next car will come through. The most astonishing part was that the vehicle we did end up using was not provided by the Assam government at all, but instead came through from the neighboring Meghalaya. When inquiring on local government schooling, I found that not only does it only accommodate 50 children, not nearly enough room for all the children of the villages, but it is also a very far walking distance from many of the sub-villages. Even more disturbingly, the teachers do not come to teach, and more often than not, there is one teacher per 5 grade levels. Lack of local education leaves families resulting to send their children into the city to receive adequate education. When children go off to school, not only are they away from their families during developmental years, but they are also missing when it comes to cultivating in the village. Some families there do not put much value on education because to them, it is more beneficial to have the children around to help in the field. Therefore, they opt to keep the children at home instead of a boarding school, leaving them without an education. Before my trip into the Garbanga Forest, I had the opportunity to interview the Chief General Manager of the National Road and Highway Authority of India. During this interview, he boasted about efforts of building a government school, a government pharmacy, and efforts to build roads connecting the villages to the city center. After evaluating the state of the government school, the non-existence of the government pharmacy, and the lack of road development, I was forced to revisit my interview with the Road of Highway and Safety Authority of India. How is none of this talk actually being put into successful action for these people? There is an obvious disconnect.